devlog number 13, I think? Something like that. So I have had a ridiculously productive week. One of the most productive I feel like I've ever had in this game. I feel like it's all thanks to this new schedule thing that I'm doing. So I've doubled the amount of time I spend on this game every day, but somehow it feels like it's a more than double multiplier. I don't know what's going on. Like I'm pulling some kind of time magic here or something. Anyway, so I've been like extremely happy with what has happened lately. I've just been churning through my to-do list, getting so many things done. Let me show you a full log of the things that happened just to get an idea of it. Also, it's only been 6 days instead of 7 because I've been in the habit of recording these kind of at the very last minute, Monday evening, just before they go up. It's now Sunday night. It's still Sunday night. I haven't pushed it all the way back to Sunday evening. But anyway, so like only 6 days have gone by since the last one of these. And I have all this stuff done. So let's just go down the list. There's something I forgot to show in the last devlog that actually was in. But never quite got to it. Let's see. Best place to look at this is what? Oh no, something is wrong. I need to... Okay, I know exactly what to do here. Hold on. One of my changes didn't show up. In order to do this, easiest way will be... I know why this happens. I need to repack my texture atlas. One of my icons changed, and I don't have anything in my make file to detect that unless one of these changes. So I'll just like touch that file and make it again. This will take a while, but it'll fix what it needed to fix. Okay, right. Anyway, that's test scenario. Right, I'll do a little bit of work on this today. I have plans. Right, copy all the resources. That's a reasonably quick way to do that. Okay, where was I? Full screen mode. Did it fix? No? What? Oh no, something's wrong. Okay, there we go. I figured out what I did. I touched the wrong texture atlas file because I was messing with the one for the main scenario, the new thing that I'm building. There was nothing spoilery in there, so it doesn't matter that I showed it. There's basically nothing here yet. It's at the concept phase, sort of. Anyway, right. So going down the list, where was I starting? So, right, a feature I forgot to show. I was going to go here. You're already seeing some new features if you're watching closely. I'll get to them on my list. Here in this list, it used to be that this was non-interactive, but now when I open up enemy equipment, I can point at a thing and see what it does. So like if an enemy had a piece of equipment that the player doesn't have access to, you can actually see all of its properties and stuff. This is the same sword as you know, what I get access to. This also works the same way, of course, for player equipment in the battle screen. You know, you can't change this, but you can still look at it if you want to see what it is. Right, but that's not actually new this week. So new stuff. I removed the maximum party member count for encounters. So I don't really have a lot of situations where that's particularly relevant in my test scenario, but here's one. So like the maximum number of people you can bring, this label is just gone. It doesn't say how many more can come. You can just add as many as you have room for. This has room for 1, so you can add that. This has room for 2, or actually for 4, because you can lay them out this way or this way. Yeah, so the only limit now is just battlefield space. That's, I think, how I always wanted that pretty much. But like, I didn't always have the concept of this battlefield layout. The imp icon got one little white pixel because it was too dark. And that one little white pixel for the eye makes a lot of difference. Like, it actually stands out in dark places like this. I was surprised at how well that worked. So yeah, I feel like this is perfectly serviceable one now. Just needed an eye. Right. So this thing had some mouse click detection problems. It's all fixed up now. Clicking everywhere makes sense. I also polished it up a little bit. So like the way that this cursor fades out when you move the mouse, and you know, it goes away entirely if you actually click, that now applies to here. So like I'm not seeing this little targeting thing when I do stuff with the mouse. but if I interact with the gamepad, it comes back. So anyway, that thing's just better polished up now. It all works. I fixed the tooltips over here to show the actual champion who's being targeted. So I could do like, here you have Venom, and cast it on everybody. So then this will show multiple friend and enemy. Oh, so that does stay within the bounds of the screen, kind of. Don't I have a problem right now, though, where, like, this goes off the top? I do. That does go off the top. Okay, so tooltips bound left and right, but not up and down? Okay, that's something I should look at. I forgot that was a problem. All right, so that goes on my to-do list. Other stuff I did. I added a little bit more padding here, so this is just a bit more spacious in general. You can see... let's see, give me a solution to something that has, like, a few things going here. Well, none of these do. Was that a solution that actually worked? Maybe. Okay, yeah, so right here, like you can see, this is padded out a bit more. Yeah, just more room around the cells makes everything look nicer. And I did the same thing over here. These are just a little bit farther apart. 1 pixel tweaks can be a big deal. Right, imp icon, already covered that. That one's better. So the second row of this view, when I pointed at it, what did it show? It showed the same thing as if I were to point over here. So imp is going to attack warrior. Warrior's health will decrease by 2. But I didn't have a way to see the target selector for all the details of what the way that the imp is making that decision. So now this pops up a non-interactive version of this thing. You can get tooltips there, but you can't like mess with it or anything. So now I can see that your target space is this one. You're targeting enemy, single, with the attack action, which is that. So information completeness is better there. This has a little pointer on it to show what the current action is during combat. So, you know, this will be the warrior's next action when they take their turn. So then if you take your turn, now the pointer moves over there. Let's see. Right, I rearranged this thing, so this part's on the top. The part you probably want to interact with first. So if you're adding a... Well, you're full, but let's add another attack. Yeah, so you probably just want to select your target on the grid first, and you know, you might tweak some of the parameters down here. Not for the attack action, the way that one works, but for other stuff, if you want to be careful with the way your spell spreads out. But yeah, mostly you'll come in here. Typical use case, just select a target or just leave it on the default and back out. Like you won't touch these things as much. So you know these are down here because they're secondary. What else? Lots of stuff. So many things. So yeah, big thing you've been seeing this whole time. I talked about this a little bit last time. I actually went and did it. It was a medium amount of work. Not as much as I thought it might be. I was pleased that I was able to get it done. So every one of these pop-ups now sizes itself based on... Ew, that doesn't look too good. I should fix this. Sizes itself based on its content. So everything is now an exact fit. Even like formula is smart enough to know that when it expands, it'll come out to exactly there. I just leave it at that size so I don't have to like change the size. Yeah, so for most of these, I could automatically calculate it because, let's see, could I show this in a meaningful way? Just to give a peek behind the scenes. So this thing called data window view is kind of the superclass of most of the pop-ups that show up here. Like this, okay, what's this called? What am I looking at? Stats. So this will be champion stat list view, right? No, not that one. So champion stat list view, using my weird little homebrew object orientation in C system here. Champion stat list view's superclass is data window view. It has the data window view ivars, then its own instance variables appended to that. So, you initialize it with those things. So then it overrides some of the methods of that, of data window view. The important one mostly being, so data window view will call get row count. So if you have no stats, then return 1 because you're going to want the row that says champion has no stats. Otherwise, just return champion stat type count. Data window view will ask if a row has an action, so it knows whether I can point at it with this or, click on it and do stuff. Then when I press my button, it'll call row action, so this will call a callback, which will actually handle that and do the stuff. But the important one here is champion stat list view describe row, or just the describe row method. So data window view calls that. The actual implementation here. Somewhere it calls it. So the renderer calls get vertices. That actually gives me the OpenGL information of vertex here, 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 and here with the texture coordinates that draws this icon. The font, geometry and stuff, and all of this stuff in the frame. I'm using a lot of macros here, so this doesn't involve a whole lot of code. Most of it's in my drawing macros file. So draw screen darkener, for example, puts a full screen quad here that's black with just a little bit of opacity, so that everything gets a little bit darker under this. Anyway, but it calls get row vertices for each one, then get row vertices is... Okay, this does a little more work. Anyway, this is the thing that calls describe row. Anyway, so the long and short of it is just that for each one of these lists, I implement an override for describe row, which sort of does a multiple return thing. You can assign out icon name to put an icon there. You can copy some text into out string for that. You can set the string color. You can set the text position. Oh, didn't realize I had icon color in there. Okay, that exists. You can have a right icon for situations that call for it, like here. That's a right icon. Anyway, but this describe row method gives basically all the information that's necessary to draw the row, but it also is now used by data window view at layout time to decide, so it describes every one of its rows, gets the string back, gets the icon, so based on that configuration, it just measures which is the widest row and says, okay, so the string water resistance 0 or strength 2 base 1. I can't tell which of these is actually wider. They're about the same. I think this one is. So this is the widest string. So I'm going to add the measured width of the string to the icon, since this is in that layout, to the little right arrow, since at least one of the rows has an interaction, and make that the width of my entire pop-up. So yeah, that's the way I was able to use my existing code to just, with not too much difficulty, make everything auto layout. So yeah, it's nice. This looks bad, but there's a reason for that, just because I normally would have more in my inventory. Why don't I have anything in my inventory there? I guess it was all equipped. Oh yeah, that's a change I want to make. Inventory should just show everything even when it is equipped, and just show that it is equipped. Yeah, alright, that's a thing to do. Anyway, but yeah, so everything's auto laid out now. I still don't actually have a solution in place for right, jumping ahead. This is another new thing here. Still don't actually have a solution in place for, oh right, you're loud. For if something is very large and just wouldn't actually fit on screen. So yeah, I gotta have some kind of scrolling or pagination or other approach to that. I'll figure it out someday. For now, everything that I have here does happen to fit on the screen, but this will be a problem I have to solve. Right. Okay. So anyway, that was a big change. That one's done. Right. I showed that. And this button that used to say lore and would just show this list of stuff, now shows my collection of lore and champions and equipment. So this is like the full inventory that you've accumulated over your entire save file for this scenario. So, you can see this in some form when you go to, this is the list of available champions here, but you can see it also here. And, inspect them in the same way that you would wherever. And your full inventory of equipment and stuff. So yeah, I guess basically it just makes sense to be able to look at that stuff, which is, your full collected inventory here without having to actually load an encounter and start setting up for it. All right, so anyway, so those are all the things I did since last week, pretty much. It's a lot, and I'm very happy with what happened there. So, a thing I want to do today, other than show off all the stuff I got done, is I want to go to the showcase scenario here. So this thing that I've been ignoring for a while and just saying, I'll talk about it later, sounds and visual effects. Let's talk about those now. So here in the showcase scenario, if I look at one of my solutions, just so I don't have to input all this again, things are quiet and not very flashy. So when Protector takes his action, doesn't play any sounds, doesn't look like much. This pops up, the description is there. Compared to, like, in test scenario, if I watch this warrior fighting, here's a swooshy effect with a sound, here's a damage effect, stuff like that. So like things actually have animations and visuals and things. So let's change that. So simplest one, let's just start with that swoosh for the... Yeah, okay, so I won't have to change anything about my solution here. I'll just go to the most recent one, fight. So let's change that. That's going to be... So first thing is going to be the resource spend, because that happens first. So energy spending. Let's make that look like it does in test scenario for charging up a spell. Okay, so this will look... I'm going to pretty much just copy and paste what's in here. Energy. So spend sound is charge spell, spend visual effect is charge spell. So let's look at what each one of those means. So spend sound. Spend sound is read here. Okay, so just read a string. Champion resource type, spend sound, spend visual effects is just a string. Sure, okay, so how will I look at how this is used? I guess this will be in battle screen? Spend sound, unable to find, that doesn't exist. Does battle state model do something with this? I forget how my thing is organized. Who actually does that? Is it champion state battle view? No. What? Somebody must mess with this. Shared definitions. Champion resource type record. Must be champion state model. So yeah, I have just a little bit of visual and oral information coming around in, being passed around in game logic stuff. I usually like to keep those things strictly separated, but in this sense, in this case, it makes a little bit more sense. So, okay, here's spend sound. All right, so this is champion state model spend resources. All right, so this will be called on the champion state model, the object that keeps track of like, so a protector has a champion state model. This is what I'm inspecting here when I see like you have 1 energy and 10 health and you have this status. So champion state model is the object that's responsible for keeping track of those bits of information and mutating them. So spend resources. So you call this when you have something you want to do that has a cost. It returns true if you can spend it. And if it returns true, it will decrease the value by that much. If it returns false, its recorded resource values don't change. And then you can't do the action. So the thing that calls this just wouldn't do anything. So this creates an event. Champion resource change event data takes the resource record spend sound along. Champion resource change event data. Oh boy, this is getting complicated. So that event makes its way to battle screen somehow, somewhere. Well, kind of. Okay, you know what? Let's skip the details. This is getting too complicated. The simple way to think of this is just that that's a file name of an audio resource that I include with the application. So that was called charge spell. So if I look over here at charge spell, I can probably play this with like VLC or something. Yeah, okay, so there was that sound. So, you know, how do I actually... Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's just say that's a file name. Doesn't have the extension on it. I have a system that from this string knows how to load that file if it's not loaded and play it. So yeah, that's just as simple as mapping to an audio file. That's a built-in audio file that's just included with the way I build this. My idea is that these will exist sort of in like resource packs. So there'll be the base resource pack that comes with the game. If you just say charge spell, and there's nothing called charge spell in any other resource pack or bundle or whatever that's loaded, it'll play the base one if it exists. But scenarios would be able to include their own bundles of resources. So you could override and have your own charge spell, or, you know, just define your own audio that could just be used in that scenario. If you had some use case for a sound effect that's just not included with the basic stuff of the game. Anyway, that's sort of the idea. For now, it's just built-in only, because I don't have resource bundles actually implemented. All right, so that's as much detail as I need to go into for the sound, probably more. More than necessary. So the visual effect looks similar, but is actually extremely different. You use the same string just by coincidence. Down here, there is a visual effects list. So these are sort of defined in the scenario. Let's copy this one and look at it in detail. So charge spell here. Right, so this refers to something that is defined in the scenario. So in the scenario, and the scenario won't load if I don't put this in here in the visual effects. This, however, I'm not entirely happy with this system. I'm doing it here on video mostly to talk to myself about it and figure out what I want to do with it. So base is particles. That is not anywhere in scenario data IO, really? Okay, so what do I know about that? All right, so visual effect particles. So each one of the strings you can put in there are only 4 at the moment. Oh, and I can't even do number. So there are only 3 at the moment. You can do particles, you can do shine, you can do swish. particles is a visual effect which... How do I... Okay, add effect. No, that's not it. Oh boy. How does this system work? It's been a while since I touched this. So there is a visual effect manager that's managed by battle screen. Sure, display turn step. Okay, so create visual effect with identifier. Is this where the string mapping is? Yeah, okay, so atom particles. Don't worry about what this means. This just means the string that says, that is, particles. This string. So visual effect record base is particles, then you create visual effect particles, which has a few different parameters you can give it. Particle motion outward, inward, scatter. So this is the base for a bunch of different things. So if I do, let's see if I can give an example here. So if I'd go to the puzzle here, so like venom, let's do the fire spell. You're going to cast fire on, no, that's the giant, I want the ooze. You're going to cast, you don't have fire, fine, you're going to cast venom on that. Alright, so this is a particles effect. Those stars sort of going inward there. That's a swish? And that was a particles effect there, the receiving of the poison status. So that was particles. So that's particle motion inward with the stars there. I forget what this one is. Anyway, so there's a lot of sort of hard-coded stuff here. It's not very flexible, and I'm not really happy about that. But charge spell particles, Atlas entry star. Now that means, how flexible is that part of it? Yeah, so I just have a list of like positions of each star and how it moves. So like the way those propagate inward is specified, yeah, inward particles here. Start time, duration, offset start, offset end. So yeah, it's just a bunch of motion paths here, basically. Just data that determines how those move. Yeah, this is one animation frame because the star doesn't animate, but if you look at this, that's an actual animation that plays, which you can see in, if I were to open my, where's my thing? You know, my thing. No, it's back here. Here's my thing. So in an image editor, yeah, okay, so animation frames here. This is the Venom animation. So this, and this are specified by, yeah, bubble frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's just textured data, which is included in my like my generated texture atlas. Well, that's not very readable. Well, no, it's not there. This is the wrong... Right, it's in the base. Right, because this is part of the game, not part of the scenario. So it's in the user interface atlas? Yeah, I'm not happy with this system, but I don't know what to do with it. So somewhere in here, there's a bunch of bubble animation frames. Here's one of them. My texture packer doesn't really put them in a coherent order. Here's some other animation frames. Here's a whole bunch of text, bunch of stuff. Anyway, yeah, this system's a big mess. I'm really not happy with this. But this is the way that it works right now. So I'm gonna say that you are star, which specifies... Yeah, okay, so same thing here. It's comparing strings. So if it is the star atlas entry, then in the hard-coded visual effect particles, it's going to use the star animation frames, which has only one frame. So energy star is going to be the displayed graphic that moves around. Then the rest of this, depending on what the motion is, it'll choose one of these arrays of motion data and then draw its stuff with that. Okay. So yeah, this is just a selector for the things that I've implemented in the visual effect file. So yeah, I'm not really sure how to make this more flexible. It has some flexibility. The reason this part is specified in the scenario is because you can parameterize this a little bit. So you could change the color of the stars here. Since energy is, what color is energy? I think it's green. So yeah, you see this yellow effect there. So I'm still using the star icon over here, I think, for this. Yeah, so energy is bright green. So let's make this look like that in the showcase. All right, so green stars will come inwards. Appearance 1. What? What does that mean? Appearance. Appearance parameter. Yeah, so I think it's just at the discretion of the individual visual effect. Okay, so appearance is an enumeration value, so that's what specifies that the motion is inward. Ugh, this is a mess. I don't like it. All right, so yeah, kind of semi-generic parameters here. You can modify the intensity. This is a signed integer, so like this would be a less severe one of those. But it's just, again, up to what I implement in here for how that's interpreted. I don't think I do anything with intensity here. Maybe I do. I don't know. And duration. So yeah, like the idea is, you know, a more strong-looking visual effect would have a higher intensity modifier on it. A weaker one would have a lower one. You know, longer duration modifier, you know, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't like this. Anyway, so that's what those parameters mean. Let's save this and rebuild it and see if now I get some green stars flying outward from that, or if I've missed a step. And also should have a sound for spending the energy. And that's just one visual effect. That's not going to do anything for the actual... No, not that. This. Not going to do anything for taking the actual action. Okay, this solution here. There we go. Green stars. Okay, so we got a green star effect with that. Neat. Still no sound for that. Okay, so let's add this one. I'm going to use the swoosh effect or whatever I called it. That's shine, right? So hang on, is it particles, shine, and swish? That's what it is. Particles, shine, and swish. Okay, so shine. Shine is defined as something moves across this as if it's contained within this box. The something in that case is this graphic. It could also be... Where's my big star? My big star's not here. That's right. I drew that with a vector graphics program instead of a bitmap here. It's in there somewhere. Is it? Wait, where's my big star? What? Ooh, shine star.ping. And you saw it for a second there. I just don't have any record of how I created this image. Yeah, I drew this with a vector program because, you know, anti-aliasing, all that just would not make sense to do by hand. Did I not save the vector file? Where's my SVG? It's definitely not this, and it's definitely not this. Huh. Okay, I seem to have lost a source file for a vector graphic. Whoops. Okay. Not that it's a particularly complicated one, but it is weird. Like, that's the sort of thing I would have kept around. Okay, but anyway, that's for spell casting. This is for physical attacks. So I'm going to add, that one would be in the attack action. Okay, so target visual effect. No, not the target visual effect. Actor visual effect. So wait, this does make the sword swing noise? Showcase scenario, replay turn. You're using Fortify. Right, you're not attacking yet. Yeah, so it does make the noise. You charge up your energy. Shoot doesn't do that, okay. But yeah, so you charge up, make the noise but not the effect. Okay, so let's add the effect. Actor visual effect is, what do I call it here? Again, I'm just going to copy and explain pretty much because this is complicated and I don't want to rewrite it for this. Spells, yeah, sure. Items, yeah, sure. Abilities, attack. Actor visual effect is shine. That's fine. I'll call it the same thing, just for simplicity. Target visual effect. You know what? Let's do two at once. Slash is fine. So then I need the two visual effects that are shine and slash. Right, shine star is the one that's going to be for magic. But there's no magic here at the moment. Visual effects, okay, so shine. Base is shine, so this is visual effect shine. What's in your header file? Not much. But you'll get parameters just the same. Okay, so you have duration modifiers, perhaps. Yeah, so duration modifier determines how long this is going to take. Got it. Ooh. Oh yeah, I used to have this flip horizontally if it was going the other direction, but I decided it looks better if I don't. So that's why this is here and here. Okay, this one's pretty simple. So anyway, back here, base is shine, atlas entry is shine, which is the name that I assigned to this graphic. So yeah, for that one, you can just put whatever graphic you want. This doesn't have a hard-coded lookup table of things like particles does. I guess what I should do is like specify all the animation frames in here. Yes, definitely. That's what I should do. This list should be scenario data. Okay, and that would have a lot of flexibility. I don't know if this should be scenario data, but it sure does look like data. I don't know. I'll think about that. But yeah, the animation frames for sure. That list should be in here, so you can just animate any arbitrary set of graphics to make your animation. Sure. Anyway, this is arbitrary already. This can be any graphic you put in here, so that's good. Color is white. Appearance modifier, nothing, nothing, nothing. Sounds good. Okay, so that's shine. I also needed slash. So then that's the third type. That's a swish. So slash is a swish. A swish is... I think this has 2 appearance parameters, 3 of them. Diagonal, horizontal, or spiral. So swish is the effect that sort of scrolls stuff like this across. So this would be diagonal. So, you know, you'll see like this come in, then shrink from the corner and disappear that way, only with a diagonal line dividing it rather than a rectangle like this. Horizontal would be the same, but coming from the side. I'm not sure which side I chose, one or the other. And then the other one, I don't have it in here because, again, I drew it in the vector program, but that would be the... yeah, so a swish is also the use item animation. So right, that's a swish. So right, shine, swish, that's a swirl. So replay turn. So yeah, just like a rotational clipping sort of thing for that graphic that, you know, moves around once, then moves around the other way to erase itself, basically. So that's a swirl, right? Or swish, that's a swish. All these names I made up. So swish with slash. Slash is this. Color is white, sounds fine. Appearance modifier 0, intensity modifier 0, duration modifier 0. So I think appearance modifier 0, yeah, is swish motion diagonal. By the way, enumerations always start at 0, then count up by 1 unless otherwise specified. You know, you can do this if you want, but just by default in C, this is how enumerations work. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. That's why I put the number 0 here. These are just arbitrary integers that are interpreted by the, well, so is this one, interpreted by the visual effect implementation. Anyway, so that's a slash. So did I put slash here for the target visual effect? Yes, target sound is hit. That was already there. So then if I save that, this seems like so much work for, you know, such a seemingly simple thing, but that's game development. Everything is like 10 times as much work as you'd think just looking at it from the outside. Gotta specify absolutely every detail about everything. Okay, so you... Alright, so it loaded the scenario. Great. Gonna go into full screen mode because I don't expect to pop out again before the end of this. So showcase scenario, solutions. So now, when the protector attacks, so particles visual effect. There's also the numbers visual effect that that's just sort of internal to the game. This is automatically added when resources change. So you don't specify that in the scenario, it just happens. So here should be a shine. No, that's fortify. My mistake. This is fortify. I need an attack. All right, so enemy turn. So particles, shine, with the sound and everything, and then this will be the swish. There we go. You took no damage. Okay, because you fortified. Right. Okay. All right. Anyway, so that's how visual effects work. What a mess of a system. Ugh, I don't like it. And I only applied it to one of the actions in here, just because I was explaining everything as I went. Yeah. So I know one thing to do with it. Make the animation frames data, and so you can have whatever particles you want. And maybe something about the particle motion, like custom, you know, I have the sort of inward charging star motion there. Like it's fine. It's fine. All right, that's a problem for future me. Anyway, so I made this look a little nicer. I'll be happy with that for now. Ugh. Please get me out of this devlog. I'm done with it. I'll see you next time, hopefully with a bunch more stuff.